Welcome to this session on how to read. It's a strange title and you'd be correct in thinking that you can already read. In fact, you've probably been reading for about 15 years already, at the very least. But this session is about academic reading, and it will also help you with your academic writing, but that's just a bonus. This session is one of 4 that can help you with the vast amounts of reading that you'll be doing during your time studying for your degree. These reading sessions run concurrently. You don't have to do them in any particular order. R9 is about keeping a record of what you've read to be able to synthesize the ideas presented. R10 is about how to read to write a literature review, as you're bound to have to do this sooner or later. And R11 is about using software to keep a record and to synthesize ideas. If you like to use software, that is. This particular session that you're listening to right now is about how to read more efficiently.
Here in the UK, the average reading age of adults is 9. Most of the public health and government guidance materials recommend writing for a reading age of 9 to 11 years. So while the Guardian newspaper writes with a targeted audience of readers with a reading age of 14, the Sun newspaper writes for a targeted reading age of 8. The tricky bit is when you start reading academic papers, as most of these have a reading age of 18. In practice, what this means is that many students really struggle with reading academic papers because A, the vocabulary is often specialised and your vocabulary may not be extensive enough yet. B, the long sentence structure of many papers and extensive use of passive voice can make it difficult to extract the meaning and identify the main arguments. And C, the authors writing these papers will often assume a certain level of existing knowledge within their field, which again, you may not have yet developed. The combined effect of this means that these articles take much longer to read and comprehend. Scrolling is so called because it involves looking at the whole paper, opening it out in effect into a long scroll like the image here. It is considered beneficial for students in their first year because, aside from forming good study habits, it helps you to avoid sequential reading approaches, regard the article as a whole, and be able to identify the significance of the different sections in formulating and structuring an argument, which is also handy for helping improving your writing. This tutorial is going to cover the reading of academic articles, which should form the bulk of your references as you progress through your degree. When you approach reading an academic article, start with reading the title, abstract, and introduction. This helps you quickly understand what the research is about, why the topic matters, and what to expect from the paper. We're going to have a go now. You can pause this video and follow the QR code to the article or search for it by its title on Google Scholar. You may like to download the worksheet available on the Library Learning Hub page or just make notes in your own notebook or on the article itself. Hopefully you have been able to read the abstract and the introduction to try to establish what the research is about, why the topic matters and what to expect from the paper. Pause this video now and read through the answer provided to compare to your own. Pause the video again, this time trying to establish the gap. What aspect of the topic do the authors feel need further investigation? Again, pause the video and compare the answer on screen with your own.
Okay, I'd like you to pause the video again and this time consider the question, how did they go about doing this? How did they conduct their research? What methods did they use? What the theoretical approach was? Most articles will have a helpfully titled methods section for this. However, this particular article doesn't. You have to read to discover how they did this.
Again, compare your answer to that on screen. In regard to evaluating this article, the realisation that this paper is a review article and therefore considered a secondary source should lead you to be more cautious as to its validity. See our session S5 for help on critical evaluation if this is a little confusing. The next thing to consider is what they are hoping to prove. What do they want to find by carrying out their research? Pause the video and again compare your answer to that on screen.
The final part of scanning is to consider who the author is, where the paper was published, and what does that tell us. It also asks you to consider the age of the paper.
Compare your answer to that given on screen again by pausing the video. Remember, this article is current and we wouldn't really expect it to have been cited already, but this one actually has. As of July 2025, it's been cited twice. So that concludes the scanning section of scrolling. Now for skimming, which is more detailed reading. These steps help your brain form links with what you already know. Take time to read the instructions on screen to fully understand the system. And remember, you can always book one-to-one for additional help. It does take some time when you're starting out, but it does work. Finally, it's really important to track your reading as you go along. You'll read so much, it will be easy to forget what you have read and why you thought it would be a good piece to use in your work. There are different ways to do this, including making paper notes, but really, using technology will help you in the long run. Here in the library, we advocate using an Excel spreadsheet or even a piece of software called NVivo. You can find out more, as and when you need to, from our Learning Hub pages. We have a tracking sheet available to download, and as most of the databases we advocate have a facility to export selected items to an Excel file, it seems a good place to start in your first year. The spreadsheet invites you to summarise the contents of the paper and to identify its key findings. The last thing you might want to consider is starting to identify emerging themes. Using the same terminology here will enable you to eventually use the filters and to start the process of synthesis, drawing links between your various sources ready for critical analysis. You might notice that there is an Advanced tab at the bottom of the spreadsheet. Take a look at the resources for R9 on how to track for more advanced guidance. However, it will be necessary for you to have understood S5 on critical evaluation before attempting this. The advanced spreadsheet invites you to go further than foundational summarising, looking at aspects such as the methodology and theoretical frameworks used, and going beyond identification of themes to a more refined method of synthesis. In conclusion then, tracking your reading in any form is key to your success. In the long run, it saves you time, and using AI to help you summarise findings can also be beneficial. If you're unsure about the use of AI, do contact us in the library for some additional guidance on this.
Before you go then, it's important to us that we get a little bit of feedback on what you thought about this session. Scrolling is a tricky technique and it perhaps doesn't lend itself to doing this on your own, but your feedback is anonymous and it's really helpful to us. So anything you can give me would be really, really appreciated. Thank you so much. As always, there's plenty of help available to you from the library team, regardless of what stage of your study or research you are at. A good place to start is the Library Support Learning Hub page, which is available from the drop-down menu at the top there under Student Info. There is also that personal touch available. If you're unsure as to what help you might need, or you can't really get to grasps with the information that we've put on the Learning Hub in the form of lessons or videos, then you can get in touch with us in various ways. Booking one-to-ones, live chatting us, or just literally coming into the library and seeking help. We are here to help you get the most out of the resources curated for you in the library and to give you the best possible chances to succeed in your studies. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.